What's up, guys? Welcome back to my third video in this NextJS crash course. So in the last video, we went over what NextJS is, and we looked at the basic starter boilerplate code. So if you missed that, hit the card that's popping up now and go watch that. In this video, we're going to look at the basics. So we're going to look at pages, CSS support, and static files. And before we go any further, I just want to mention that the code for this tutorial and this entire series can be found on my GitHub in the repository called YouTube. The link for that will be in the description. So the first thing we're going to look at is pages. So pages in Next.js are simply React components that are exported in JS files or TypeScript files or JSX. So to add a page, you simply go into your pages directory and add a new file. And for example, if you want to add an about page, you would say about.js. And then all we have to do inside here is we have to define this function and export it. So we can say function about, and then down here we can say export default about. Okay, and then inside of here we need to return whatever we want to return. So for example, I can just return a div, and inside it I can return an h1 tag that says about page. And now if we go to our local host, okay, we go here and we go to /about, we get about page. So this name here, this router corresponds to the name of the JavaScript file right here. And then the other way you can do it is you can copy this export default and do this in the same line right up here. So we can just say export default function about, just like that. And if we refresh, that works as well. Now the second way to add pages is dynamically. So if you look over here, I have this id.js, and the ID is in braces. So if I open this up, you'll notice that this is a dynamic route. We're doing it basically the same way. We have const post equal to this, our return in here, and then we're exporting it down here. The difference is, you see, we're using this use router from next router. So Next.js gives us this. And basically, we're using this method here to set it equal to a variable router. And then this query is what we pass in here. That query will be equal to our ID, and we are displaying that ID on the page. So if I go up here and I say /1, I get post 1. I can do 12, get 12, and I can even do letters. So I can do whatever I want, and I will get that there. So if you want to build a blog, that is how you'd go about it, with dynamic slugs. Alright guys, so next I want to talk about how to add CSS. So there are a few different ways how you can go about this. The first is using a global style sheet. So we can do that by adding a page underscore app.js. And this page is loaded for every page in your application. So as you see, what we're doing is we can import the style sheet in app.js, and that will be applied to each page. So let's go back here, and inside our pages, let's do a new file and create that app.js. Now let's go back here and copy this. So this code needs to be in here. And basically all this is doing is, like you saw with the about page, it's exporting the function. In this case, it's my app, passing in component and page props, and then it's returning the current page. So basically right here is whatever page they're currently on. So if they go to the about page, this will return the about page. And then anything else we add in here will be returned as well. So for example, we can import a global style sheet. So up here, we can say import, and then we'll say dot dot dash to go back one. This will be in public slash, and we will name this index.css. And we did not create this yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Over here, right click, new file, index.css. Now we can add styles in here. So just to test this out and make sure it works, I'll do star, and then I'll just say background color, set it to blue. Now if we go back to our local host and refresh, so go back and restart the server, just like this, and refresh, and you should see the background change to blue, just like that. So if we go to /about, we see our about page. And say I want to style this h1. Well, let's give this a class. In React or NextJS, we use class name. We'll say about title. Copy that. We'll grab it in here using our CSS selector. And let's just give this a font size of 40 pixels and a color of white. Now if we go back, it should automatically reload, and there we go. So these styles are coming through. So that's the first way, with a global style sheet. The next way, we have component level CSS. So basically what you can do is it supports CSS modules. So it will only load the CSS for that component that you want it to be loaded for. So for example, if you wanted to create a reusable button, you could create that component in a components folder, and then you could name the CSS file button.module.css with whatever code you want, and then inside your JS class, you could import the code for the button, and then that is how it would work. So let's go ahead and test that out. So I'm going to copy that, come back here, and we're going to create a components folder, just like that. There we go. And then inside of here, create our new file, button.js. And then we need our CSS here. We'll create that as well. There we go. We have our button.js, our button.module.css. And then we'll just copy their CSS as well. So we have color white, background color red for the class error, which is being given right here. And we'll copy this and paste that there. So as you can see, we're importing styles from /, so the current directory, button.module.css, which is this. And then whenever you want to call class names, you can't just say class name is equal to the class name. You need to write styles dot or whatever variable you are using to import. So now when we use this button, we should see that styling coming through. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to comment this out, and let's use the button in this about page. So we'll say import button from components / button. We'll use that right here. So add the button here, and then we're going to need to go back here and add default, export default function button. There we go, we have the button. And then if I uncomment this code, we should see CSS coming through for it, just like that. So that is working. So the next way is you can use Sass. So for this, all you do is simply install it via npm, and then you can add it like this. So I'm going to skip that, but if you want to go that route, you can simply add it using this. So the next way is CSS in JS. So this way is pretty simple. Basically, if I have some HTML, So I have a p tag, I am a paragraph, and I want to style this. Well, you can do it the same way that you would with just plain old HTML. You can say style equals, and instead of doing this, you can do two brackets just like that. Now in here, you can just write CSS. So I can say font size is equal to 40 pixels, color is red, anything I want. And you'll notice that they're separated by commas, and the properties are a little different. So font size in normal CSS would look a little something like this. Whoops. Would look like this, font dash size, as opposed to CSS in JS, which looks like this. And then it has this colon here, but pretty self-explanatory. So now if we go back here and we look at it, there we go, we have our styling. And the last way is what we can do is we can use what's called styled.jsx. So basically, that's just adding a style tag, but a little differently. So let me copy this, and you can add this right before the closing div, just a simple style tag. And then you add JSX, and then this with this little tick here. That is closed down here, and then any CSS you want to add can be added. So let's go up here and let's add a class name .jsx class color blue. And then let's make another paragraph. Hello. If we check it out now, just see hello, but if I give it the class name of JSX class, we should have it turn blue, just like that. Okay, so those are the multiple ways that you can add CSS into your NextJS project. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is static file serving. So anything from images or robots.txt, Google site verification, or any other static files, including just plain old HTML. So basically all we're going to do is you store these files in the public folder. So we saw that with the index.css. Basically any static files you have, you simply put them inside of this public folder, and they can be accessed throughout your application. So the example they give is if you want to add an image, you'd add the image simply just in that main level, so right in here, and then you can access it like this. Simply add an image HTML tag, and then the src is just slash, and then the image. And this is important, you don't do slash public slash my image or anything like that. It's just slash. So let's go grab an image from Unsplash. We'll just search nature and grab this one here. Now I'll download this, and then I'll add this into my project, into the public folder. We'll rename this 1, just so it's easier to work with. So here's our image. And all we're going to do, let's access this in the About page. So I'll come up here, and I'll just add my image tag with src. That's equal to /1.jpg. And I should be able to see that, and I do. Now let me just give that a class name of image, and we'll use our JSX to style that. We'll say width 300 pixels and height auto. And one thing to note, there's no auto completion for this JSX. There might be an extension for it with VS Code, but as of now I don't know if there is. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And there we go. We can see our image coming through. So that's it for this video, guys. Just to recap, we went over pages, CSS support, and static files. So in the next video, we are going to look at data fetching and environment variables. So interacting with APIs, fetching data, using some features that are specific to NextJS and what make it really, really good. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video in this course.